All right, let's dive into one of history's most epic and, yeah, most controversial figures, Genghis Khan. I mean, how did one person build the biggest land empire ever? To get that, we've got to go back in time, to his world.
So, just for a second, I want you to really picture this. We're talking over 800 years ago. Forget everything you know about how the world works today. First off, no cars. If you wanted to go anywhere, you were walking or you were on a horse. That's it. Travel was slow, it was hard, and honestly, it was super dangerous. Obviously, no airplanes, right? The world felt huge, almost infinitely big. The idea of one person ruling a giant chunk of it, that was pretty much science fiction back then. And the big one, no internet, no phones, no instant anything. If you had news, it traveled at the speed of a horse. That's the world we're in. So in that world, this incredibly disconnected, slow-moving world, one guy comes along and builds the largest single land empire in human history. So who was he? Was he a genius leader? A legendary warrior? A brutal tyrant? Well, the truth is, it's all of the above. And it's complicated. And to really understand him, we've got to start from the very beginning. His childhood was, well, it was rough. He was born with the name Temujin, around 1162. And his early life was just one disaster after another. His dad was poisoned, his own clan just abandoned his family, left them for dead. He was even captured and became a slave. But here's the crazy part. He didn't just survive all that. He escaped, and by 1206, he had united all of the warring Mongol tribes. I mean, what a comeback story, right? And all that hardship, it taught him something absolutely crucial. He realized that real power wasn't about who your dad was. Nope. It was about earning loyalty. It was about being strong and being smart. So, fast forward to 1206. He's done it. He's united the tribes, and they give him a new name, a title, really. Genghis Khan. It means universal ruler. Talk about setting your sights high, huh? Okay, so now he's got this united force behind him. What's next? Well, he turns his gaze outward, and he builds an army that wasn't just good. It was a revolutionary war machine, one of the best history has ever seen. So what was their secret sauce? Well, it kind of boiled down to 4 key things. 1, these guys were absolute masters on horseback. We're talking shooting arrows with pinpoint accuracy while galloping. 2, speed and surprise. They'd appear out of nowhere and just overwhelm you. 3, they were incredibly organized, using a simple decimal system to command huge numbers of troops effectively. And 4, and this was a huge deal back then, he promoted people based on merit, on skill and loyalty, not because they were his cousin. And the result of all this? It was just unstoppable. This new Mongol army just swept across the map. They conquered huge parts of China, all of Central Asia, pushed into the Middle East, and even knocked on the door of Eastern Europe. They were literally redrawing the map of the known world. But here's the thing. It's easy to just think of him as a warrior, right? But that's only half the story. He wasn't just a conqueror. He was an empire builder, an architect. And what an empire. At its biggest, it covered something like 24 million square kilometers. To put that in perspective, that is the largest connected land empire ever in all of history. And you can't rule something that huge with just an army. You need a system. So that's what he did. He created a legal code, a set of laws called the Yasa. And this was more than just don't do this, don't do that. It was the glue holding everything together. It cracked down hard on things like theft. It demanded total loyalty. But it also did something super important. It protected ambassadors and messengers. You need that if you're going to run a global empire. And that focus on law and order had this incredible side effect. Suddenly, the trade routes, especially the famous Silk Road, were safe, really safe. And that kicked off a golden age of trade. With the Mongols protecting the routes, goods, ideas, even technologies like gunpowder started flowing freely between East and West. It was like the first era of globalization. He also did something else that was pretty mind-blowing for the time. He introduced religious freedom. Think about it. This was an age of holy wars, and here's Genghis Khan saying, hey, you can be Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever. Just pay your taxes and follow the law. It was incredibly practical, and it cut down on a lot of potential rebellions. Okay, but we have to be real here. We can't talk about all the good stuff, the trade, the laws, without talking about how this empire was built. And it was built with unbelievable violence and destruction. He was a master of psychological warfare. He basically gave cities a choice, a really simple one. Surrender now, and you'll be fine. We'll spare you. But if you resist, if you fight back, We will wipe you off the face of the earth. And he wasn't bluffing. Entire cities, entire populations were just erased. And that's the core puzzle of Genghis Khan, isn't it? On one hand, you have this visionary who connected the world. On the other, a conqueror so brutal that millions died. He's both. And to understand history, you have to be able to hold both of those ideas in your head at the same time. So, why does he still matter? Why are we talking about some guy from 800 years ago? Because his legacy is massive. He didn't just change things back then, his actions are still echoing today.
You can really break his influence down into 4 big areas. First, he totally redrew the political map. Second, he created this huge zone of free trade and communication. Third, his military strategies changed how people fought wars for hundreds of years. And fourth, well, this one's a little more personal.
Get this, modern science, genetics, suggests that something like 1 in 200 men alive today in the regions of his old empire might be his direct descendant. Millions of people. His impact isn't just in the history books. For a lot of us, it's literally in our DNA.
So think about that journey. From a kid abandoned and left to die on the plains to the ruler of the biggest empire on Earth. It really makes you wonder, right? Can one single person truly change the course of history? The story of Genghis Khan seems to scream yes, and it leaves us with one heck of a question. How do we even begin to measure the legacy of a person like that?